of his familiar phrases was, "Call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner." We use the word call in many different ways. We call up friends on the phone. We call out to a neighbor across the street. We question the call the referee made during the basketball game. We ask, what are they going to call the baby? In the church, the word call has a different meaning. Call or calling speaks of a spiritual tug toward a purpose or occupation. If asked, I think most Christians would say that they don't have a calling. They would say, I work for an insurance company, a school, a hospital, a business, or I'm retired. I don't work for a church. I'm not a minister who is called. Now, while you may not be a paid church employee, you are still a minister who is called. We all are. Every believer, every follower of Jesus Christ, every member of this Christian community, from those who are not yet to those who are celebrating significant birthdays, those who would rather not be acknowledging their birthdays. All of us are ministers of Jesus Christ, called to unique ministries in the world, unique ministries in our wider community, and in the church. Too often when we talk about calling and ministry, though, we think it has to be something to do with the church. We think that our spiritual gifts and talents have to be something that the church can use. Leading worship, making meals for the hungry, repairing or coordinating the repairs of the church's building. Our callings and our spiritual gifts aren't confined to the ministries, needs, and mission of the church, though. God did not create us to be church members. Jesus doesn't call us to be church members either. Jesus calls us to follow him and be his disciples. In the book, Following Jesus, Finding Our Way Home in an Age of Anxiety, Henry Nouwen shares, following Jesus means to live our life in his spirit, in his light, in his heart. But with our spirit, with our light, and with our heart. It doesn't mean that we become passive imitators. No, it means that we become persons who discover our own vocation, our own unique call in a whole new way. To follow Jesus means to give our own unique form and incarnation to God's love. To follow Jesus means to embody God's love in our own unique way, with our own unique spiritual gifts. First, though, we have to know what our own unique spiritual gifts are. And I intentionally didn't use the word discover, because that makes it sound like you need to search around and find your spiritual gifts. You already have spiritual gifts. Likely you are already using them, and you just don't call it that. We don't need to discover our spiritual gifts. We need to discern them. We need to name them and acknowledge them as spiritual gifts. Now, some are still called and gifted to be apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. And being messengers of God's love, sharers of God's good news, voices for justice and peace, comforters and teachers. These are much needed spiritual gifts in the world. However, they are not the only ones God gives to us in the world. Like people, spiritual gifts and callings are unique. Do you have the ability to make people laugh or smile? Do you seem to bring peace with you wherever you go? Are you great at organizing people? Can you just look at something broken and find a way to repair it? Our spiritual gifts come in all shapes and sizes. They very often are things we completely overlook. Our spiritual gifts are things that we love to do. They are things that we do well. They are things that make us feel satisfied and proud. are some things that you love to do? What are things that you do well? What things do you do that make you feel satisfied or proud? Are you a really good friend? Are you patient in challenging times, like when you're on the phone with customer service? Are you an artist, a poet, a writer, photographer, a social media content creator? Are you a gardener? Do you excel at praying for people and the world? Are you a fix-it Felix? Do you naturally smile? Are you great at sharing your knowledge with others? Are you great at sharing a story with others? Do you sing, dance, swim, fish, run? Do you notice things, like when someone hug, or when all the neighborhood trash cans need to have their lids closed on a rainy day? What are your spiritual gifts that embody God's love? What do you love to do? What do you do well that brings God's light and love into our world? It might be a natural ability, or it might be one that you have nurtured through study. It might be a talent that you work hard at, or one that comes as easily to you as breathing. For sure, your spiritual gifts are going to be very different than my spiritual gifts. Because as Henry Nouwen says, every disciple reflects something special of God's love. We each have our own way. We each have our own way. We each have our own unique gifts that make God's love real in the world. Every disciple reflects something special of God's love. Every disciple reflects something different of God's love. And every disciple, every follower's spiritual gifts are necessary. Because together, all of our spiritual gifts create the full picture of God's inclusive, extravagant, all-encompassing love. In this season of Lent, as we prepare our hearts for Easter and journey this discipleship pathway with Jesus, I invite you to name your spiritual gifts, to celebrate your spiritual gifts, to share your spiritual gifts, that together we might come together in Christ's one Spirit, working together